Today on Metaphysical Mississippi, we speak with Tamra Bates with the Madison County Library System. She's going to be sharing some exciting events coming up in the Ridgeland and Flora branches, as well as you may know her as Luna with the Crossroads and Cauldron podcasts. Thanks for being here and enjoy the show. Welcome to Metaphysical Mississippi. I'm your host, Emily, and today we have Luna, who is with Crossroads and Cauldrons podcast. Yes. And you also may know her as Tamra. Mm-hmm. But she's here today to share a little bit of her metaphysical journey and story, as well as share an upcoming event that will be happening March 30th. Mm-hmm. And it's a seed library. Yes. That is going to be in Madison County Library. Mm-hmm. Yes. So we're just excited. When I saw that, I was like, oh, that sounds so. I don't plant. But I will.
You don't plant?
I don't plant. I do not have a green thumb, but I want to.
But well, that's a great thing about these seed libraries. We have one that's going in at the Flora branch and one that's going in at the Ridgeland branch. And the way a seed library works is when you first started out, we provide the seeds. We were very lucky to have some fantastic patrons who actually donated some seeds, who are actually professional flower growers. So we have a large amount of flower seeds this year, as well as some of the vegetable seeds that we were able to provide. And the whole thing about a seed library is to get seeds into the hands of people who've never grown anything. It's great for seasoned gardeners as well, because it allows you to grow things that maybe you haven't tried, because we separate the seeds into small amounts. So you don't have like a packet of 50 seeds that you have to deal with. You'll get maybe 5 to 10. And then you have enough to go ahead and try out. And if they work for you, great. If they do, then next year you can bring us some seeds from your harvest of this year. Yeah, I'm a big gardener myself. I started messing around in the dirt. Well, God, both my grandparents had, both my sets of grandparents had gardens themselves, but they grew up with that, so I got to eat fresh okra and tomatoes out of the garden during the summers when we go and stay, and pick plums off the trees, eat figs till you got sick, that kind of thing. Yeah. That a Southern girl gets to do. So that was fun. But this also allows people in more rural areas that may not have either the access or the funds to go out and purchase seeds. This allows them to get free seeds, try to help supplement their groceries as well. So it's a really neat thing, and I'm hoping it's going to take off. It's been really, really popular in Ridgeland. Flora's is not set up yet. It's fixing to be. But as you had said, the grand opening for both are going to be on March 30th, which is the last Thursday of this month. Flora is having a plant swap that morning from 9 to 11, but after that, Felder Rushing is going to come and actually help us open up the seed library there in Flora and do a little program there. And then at 3 o'clock that afternoon in Ridgeland, he's going to also come there, help us open that seed library, and do a full program there as well. So if you can't see Felder that morning in Flora, be sure you come by the Ridgeland Library that afternoon at 3 and see him there. And if y'all don't know him, he has been on radio and TV. He has worked with Mississippi State University. He was a professor for many years. And he's just a really, really cool guy. I love Felder a lot. And it was funny, I've got 2 of his books, and they have been basically my Bibles for gardening. One is Tough Southern Plants, and the other one is Pass Along Plants. And I love both of them. But yeah, So I'm really excited. The seed libraries, these these were handed to me when I changed positions with the library in December, and they've been my babies, and we're just rolling with them. And I'm just so excited that we're able to provide this to the community.
Yes. You said something about bringing seeds back. Maybe that
Yeah,
people would bring.
it's not necessary for them to bring seeds back.
Yeah.
They can if they would like to. And that's part of the seed library is once it gets up and rolling over the next year or two, it should start to self-sustain. And then we can start bringing in, more and different things for people to plant and grow and
d-
try.
Well, my question is, well, me being a newbie at even, well, I mean, I've planted a few things, but not
Yeah,
really that much from seed.
right.
But would you also give instructions on how to actually get seeds?
Each packet of seeds comes with a card
That's what I
that
wondered. Yeah.
has full information on it. And even one of my coworkers, she goes, make it my proof, meaning put her name to it, make it proof. Dummy proof is what she called it for her. And so I was like, okay. And so at the top, we put when you're going to plant it. We
Yeah.
have instructions on how deep to plant it, how far apart to plant it. Most of them have what kind of soil to put it in. It just depends on how much room we have because you can't put everything about
Yeah.
every seed on a card. But it's so, and that way the packet of seeds are on the inside of the card stapled to it. So when you pick it up at the library, you take it home, pop the card open, there's your seeds. And then you can keep your card in an index box because we're putting them in the old card catalogs like we used to have in the library when we were kids.
Oh,
There's two. Yeah, they're
oh,
cabinets, card catalog. So they're index card size. So they'll fit in any index card box that you have if you wanted to just line them up in the box. This is what we planted. And so, yeah, I've even written on the packets of seeds what the names of them are and what year that they were actually distributed from the company that we purchased them from or from the donator when they got them. So,
that makes,
um,
do seeds, okay, I'm sure they
will they
expire.
expire?
Yeah.
They some do, some do. I actually was going through. This is bad telling on myself now. I was actually going through my garden cart that I had set aside with all my garden tools and stuff on. I had been to a plant swap back in 2017 and I forgot I had these seeds. And so I pulled them out and actually took paper towels and with a Sharpie wrote the name of what they were on the paper towel and squirted them down and put the seeds in that, folded them up and put them in a bowl with some saran wrap over them. And
Just,
if they rooted, then they were viable seeds. And if they just molded and got yucky, then they weren't. And I had probably a good half of them were still good. So yeah, seeds will last if they're taken care of and stored properly, which mine weren't exactly stored
mhm.
properly. They were in little brown envelopes, which is fine. But little brown envelopes have a tendency to have humidity get to them, and you have hot and cold, and that type of humidity is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
So all of the seeds that we provide are in these little bitty plastic envelopes that have a zip top. So you can take out as many or leave, however you want to do them. And they'll be safe in those bags for as long as you need them. Me, I try to keep not to keep seeds over 5 years,
Yeah.
but certainly they'll last longer than that if they're well taken care of. Because I mean, they have seed safes all over the world where they have been putting back
That's what I
fruits
was
and vegetables.
thinking. Isn't there a
Hmm.
place underground somewhere?
Yeah, there's a
There's
couple of them.
a vault. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, they call
Um,
them seed vaults, I
yeah,
believe. Yeah,
seed vaults, seed vaults. Yeah, I think
yeah,
I watched some National
documentary.
Geographic or something.
Yeah.
Are some of them heirloom seeds that you're using? If
Hmm.
heirloom's the right terminology.
Heirloom is a great word to use. Yeah,
Okay.
and they are actually the company that we get our seeds from are called Seed Savers, And these seeds that they have are passed down from generation to generation. The families have held on to these seeds. Many of them have stories, and I tried to put those in the cards as well. So you can see where they came from and who started them, great grandma Parvin or something like that, had this in her garden and they saved the seeds and passed them down. It's really, really cool to see where some of this stuff came from. So it's a lot of history involved with them as well. And usually heirloom seeds, I can't say all of them, but majority of them are going to be disease resistant. So they've held up through, bad times of drought and things like that. So, I would think a good many of them should hold up to any kind of neglect we can dish out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
I try to make it easy. We have some seeds that are just you just throw them on the ground and water them with the hose and they're ready to rock and roll. So yeah, there's something out there for everybody.
that sounds so exciting. It sounds like you have a dream job right now for you.
I do. I'm absolutely having a blast. I was a
I was gonna say,
librarian at the Ridgeland branch for a year and a half
did,
and just started this position as the technology trainer. And when they handed me this, I just laughed. I was like, okay, because they knew it was right up my alley. But I teach classes on other stuff too, computer classes, and we're going to be doing a class soon in Canton on how to cut the cable, and because a lot of our older and some of our younger patrons don't know how to do without cable, and we have a lot of on-demand programming available. So I'm going to teach people how to do that, and that's coming up next month. I do classes like that, so it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. Yeah, we're also putting in maker spaces in all of our libraries too.
maker spaces. What's that thing? Is that
We
like,
have just recently in Ridgeland, we've put it in, but we're fixing to install in Madison, in Canton, and in Flora maker spaces that have, we will have a 3D printer available for people to use. If they've never used a 3D printer, you'll be able to use that and simply just pay. If you have something in particular you want printed, we will definitely do that. And you'll just have to pay for the filament. And I want to say, it's very, very minimal. We also have a t-shirt press that will also do hat press. We'll also do, you can do pockets on the t-shirts, things like that. We'll have a sublimation printer available where they can come in and print out their own iron-ons. It's a Cricut.
yeah.
Yeah, we also have the Cricut available where they can come in and have things cut out, make pop-up cards and things like that. We'll have classes on all of this coming up through. And we also have a sewing machine that's going in at the Ridgeland branch. They can't check these things out, but they can come into the library and use them free of charge. So yeah, it's really exciting.
So the library is more than just books now.
The library is the place to be these days. Yeah. Because we're bringing all this stuff in. We have a brand new teen room in Ridgeland that they can come in and use.
With kids, after school, is it hopping?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They'll come in and do reports and work on craft projects. If they have book reports, they'll come in and look. Some just come in to do homework, and mom lets the little kids come play in the kids' room.
Yeah.
Because they have free toys in there and they have other friends that they can play with in there as well. And it's just a safe place for them to come and, be themselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
So,
Yeah, you do have a dream job.
I do have a dream job. I love my job.
Did you manifest this job? No.
I'm starting to wonder if I did. I was actually, I've been late. I was actually, before I got this job, I'd been laid up for about 2.5 years. I had 2 knee replacements, gastric bypass surgery, and a hernia repair in 2 years.
Oh my goodness.
And so I was laid up for about 2.5 years, and I worked as a realtor for a while, and I loved it. And thanks COVID, shut that down for me. Some are still in it and doing great. It just wasn't where I was supposed to be, though. And I had the opportunity to take on a full-time job with benefits with the library, and I jumped on it. And I should have been there this whole time. This is what I should have been doing my whole life. And I'm 54, so
Oh,
took me a while to figure it out, but I'm here, so
like,
I'm having fun with it.
I'm evolving into
Yeah,
something that is the path that I need to be on too.
there you go. It's never too late. And it will constantly evolve. That's the thing. You'll go, well, okay, so I'm here now, what? And it's gonna morph into something else, and it just builds on itself, and it makes it nice. Never a dull moment.
Yes. So now I'm going to take us, now that we have the library where you are
Yeah.
now. Let's travel back in time.
Okay, fine.
So, um, tell me, what was the first thing that, you remember as a child where that you still enjoy doing today that may be
Mhm.
considered kind of metaphysical
Okay.
in nature?
Um, the first thing that I remember as a kid, I was probably, well, it's to do with anything metaphysical. Of course, at that time, I didn't know that's what it was.
Yeah.
Um, there's two stories I can tell you. One is when I was at my grandmother's and I was picking up quartz rocks, the little white ones out of her driveway,
Yeah.
gravel driveway, and piling them up. And they ended up getting me a rock tumbler for Christmas or my birthday that year. And I was really excited because then I could shine up all those neat little rocks that I had found. And of course, those things are really noisy. So it ended up in the storage room out in the carport somewhere. But that's where I started with rocks. Yeah, I didn't even know what I was looking for. I just knew the white ones were pretty. I had no idea they were
Yeah.
quartz. All right. So
Yeah.
the second story is probably about 7 or 8 years down the line when I'm a little bit older, and we went to go visit my aunt in Dallas, and I was picking up leaves out of her yard. She had a magnolia tree that had lost a lot of leaves, and I was picking up leaves and just gathering them in my hand. And she had me come over to her. She says, "Come here and let me see what you've been picking up." And I held my hand out to her and showed her my bunch of leaves, and they were in a perfect rose spiral in my hand where I had just stuck them in there as I was picking them up. And it tickled her because she was a florist. So she made artificial flowers and stuff like that
Yeah.
all the time. She just thought that was the coolest thing. So that's two things off the top of my head that I can think of that would be metaphysical or woo woo, as we like to say
Yeah.
sometimes. But growing up, I played in the woods a lot as a kid. I'm just a little Mississippi girl. I lived in Texas and Louisiana growing up as well. But we were always in the woods and always digging and or picking flowers, making teepees out of fallen pine trees. I mean, you name it.
Yes.
We just lived and played in the woods. You know, I have a younger brother, and with him and our neighborhood friends and things like that, we just had a blast. We'd build forts in the backyard with my uncles and cousins, and we were over at grandparents' house, and just outside has always put me closer to uh, God, source, the creator, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it. I don't care what you call it. It's all the same thing to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all come from the same place. We just all have different ways of relating to it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think about when I was younger as well, and I think I'm just like maybe 4 years younger than you. So
Yeah, not much.
we are that we just went all through those woods.
Hmm.
I would do it by myself, you know,
Yeah.
just walk in the afternoons, and
Hmm.
the freedom. Well, we had more freedom
We did.
at a younger age, because I'm like, I would not allow my son to go wandering in the woods at
Right.
age, 10, like I was
Yeah.
when I would just
Yeah.
wander for
If not
hours and
younger.
hours
Yeah. Yeah.
and play in the woods.
Yeah.
I like to go into gullies and ditches, and I did play in the dirt, but not really with stones, but I
Hmm.
would build communities,
Oh,
rather
neat.
than, I was an urban planner.
Hey, there is nothing wrong with that.
Oh,
Nothing wrong with that at all.
but, did you grow up in a religious household?
It was not a religious household. But I will say this, my dad was one of 7 children, and his father was a preacher. He
Gotcha.
was a Pentecostal preacher for a long time, and he ended up converting over to Church of God later on. And my grandmother, I don't think she ever wore pants in her life, if I could remember correctly. She always wore dresses, and she had long hair for a while, a lot like the way the Pentecostals do today.
Right, right.
But then my aunts all wore pants and stuff like that in the 70s. I remember that growing up. So it may just have been her preference. And she was one of 8 kids, I think. She was the oldest of 8. So,
Yeah,
they had, rather large families. But as far as being made to go to church and all that kind of stuff,
yeah.
we went to church, but we weren't made to. By the time I came along, I think my dad was just burnt out, no, for lack of a better word. My mother and my dad, they met in church. Their families were friends in church. And mom and dad met there. They went to high school together as well. And just, you know, followed it on out of school and
Yeah,
got married and had me and my brother. And um, I think he was just burnt out on it, to be
yeah.
honest,
So, I mean, I
because he
guess
just grew up with it.
yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
guess that's good. I mean, I grew up in a very fundamentalist type of, we call it a
Hmm.
cult, but it was a, Christ oriented type,
Right.
but a
Christ
little
based.
different than the normal Protestant, but it
Hmm.
was but I still had that connection to, source.
Yeah.
Source has always been uh and one thing I have really enjoyed is meeting people who their term of how they connect with a source
Hmm.
is different. It
Yeah.
may not be in the mainstream, but
Hmm.
I just love how with doing Metaphysical Mississippi, I have just met so many people in the community with a
Hmm.
common love.
Yeah.
It's love for whatever that source energy is,
Hmm.
and, uh, and I'm also getting, I'm enjoying meeting people who really care about the environment
Yeah.
and care about Mother Nature
Hmm.
but also have a great, uh show a great example of communing with nature as well as source.
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
like with the seed library, I mean,
Hmm.
food and things that bring oxygen to our air,
Yeah.
seeds are so important.
They're very important.
They feed
Yeah.
us and they help us breathe. I mean,
Hmm.
the result of what flourishes from that seed.
Yeah. And a lot
And
of kids
yeah,
today don't realize um, where our food comes from.
I know.
You know, I met a girl, it's been several years back. We had a yard sale when I lived down in Hazelhurst. And the girl that came out to my house, she said, I've never been outside the outskirts of town. She had no clue any of that existed out there beyond the city limits. And I was just like, wow. But talking to her further, she had no idea where food came from. She knew it was at the grocery store. That was about as far as
Right,
it went, and
right.
she was in her early 20s. Yeah, so I'm hoping that the learning how to work with nature, to grow your own food, even if it's just one thing. If you grow one tomato plant, just one,
Yes.
it's enough to light that fire of curiosity. It's like, oh, if I can grow this, what else can I grow? And
But
I just hope they take that and run with it.
but what growing things though makes you be is patient.
Oh, yeah,
It demands patience.
it does, unless you grow something that grows really, really fast.
Well, yeah, but it's
Hmm.
still, you know,
And we have those. I have some I've already got started. I have some moonflower vines.
Oh,
Google it. They
moon.
are big white flowers that grow on a vine, and they grow super fast. And when they open up, they're about the size of a dinner plate, and they're gorgeous. They bloom at night,
Oh,
and
oh,
they smell
moonflower.
amazing. And they only last one night. But once the flower dies and falls off, it will put a little pod where the flower was attached,
Yeah.
and you leave it alone and let it turn brown, and then you can pop it off and shake it, and it has more moonflower seeds in there that you can share with your friends. You just break it open, and they look like little bitty white corn kernels.
Oh, now they now do they only open like one time a year, or the flower only opens for a 24-hour period or
They usually
a
last about 12 hours
12 hours?
from the time that they open.
Do
And
they
once they
all,
open, they'll close back up, and then they won't open again. That's it.
but the next night can a new batch open up?
Oh yeah, you'll have them all over the
Yeah, yeah,
place.
that's what I meant.
Yeah, we even have, I think there is one that we had in there, night blooming tobacco, that I'm gonna
Oh,
try growing, that I thought would be interesting. It has little white tubular flowers.
yes.
And it's supposed to smell really, really good too. So we'll give them a shot.
Y'all gonna have bulbs there as well? Or
No,
just seeds? Okay.
no, we won't have any bulbs, but on occasion, if you have extras and you'd like to divide and get rid of, absolutely bring them. You can pot them up and bring them to the library, and we'll hand them out. Do you know what a spider plant is, or
I heard of it.
airplane
Yeah.
plant? You heard of those? Okay. They're variegated leaves, and they make babies. They shoot these little vines off and make
Yes.
babies. I had probably about 50 of them here at the house. And a girlfriend of mine helped me pot them up, and we took them to the Ridgeland Library, and they just gave them all away.
Oh,
So I just put them in little plastic cups and put a little soil in there, and then put the baby down in it and water it real good, and they do great. They do great. They're an easy
yeah.
plant to take care of. Um, so yeah. Yeah, I mean, I love plant giveaways. Those are fun.
All right.
Oh,
I'll let you get back to woo woo talk now.
that's fine. That's fine. Um, so I did get into church for a little while when I got older. I had 4 months after my daughter was born, I woke up with what I thought was a mild case of heartburn. Within 24 hours, they were handing my rings to my husband in a manila envelope and calling in the family and the chaplain. It
Oh,
was fast. I had had severe pancreatitis, and we didn't find out until many years later that when I had my gallbladder out, that I threw a gallstone and it got lodged in my pancreas and backed it up. And
oh,
so your pancreas makes stomach acid. So it was leaking through my system, and they had to treat me like a burn victim from the inside out. I came very, very close to not making it.
oh,
Um, so when I came out of that, it really shook my world of I'm not invincible. And who I wasn't the same person anymore. I went through a really, really bad time. Um, and I looked into everything. I looked into Christianity. I looked into Wicca. I mean, I looked into all the nature-based
yeah,
religions, and I leaned towards Christianity because it was more readily available to me at that time.
correct.
And there was a big mega church where I lived, and so I started going to that, and I brought my kids with me. Um, my kids have never particularly been religious, but they
Mhm.
did go to church with me. Um, but I don't think they really ever fell into it like I did.
Right.
That lasted for me for a few years, and I believed it so strongly that I have a Celtic cross and a good angel and a bad angel tattooed on my back with a heaven and hell and all of that stuff on my back. So that tells you how strongly I believed in it at one time. But of course, we all evolve, and we all tend to go back to what we believed when we were kids.
Yeah.
It seemed to come full circle for me. Um, and as much as I love rocks, I'm more of a collector of rocks than I am a worker with them. They're
Gotcha.
pretty. I have a great case in my living room that has these awesome stones, and I love them. And I pick up petrified wood around my family farm all the time. So I love getting down in the creek beds and finding arrowheads, and so
Mhm.
I'm a rock hound. I just love to do it for the hunt, and it's fun, and they're pretty, and I like to keep them around. Um, but I did go into Reiki for a while. I actually went to massage therapy school back in the late 90s, and became a full-time professional massage therapist, and I loved it. I actually had my own clinic in Brookhaven for a little while on Cherokee Street. It was called Daydreams Therapeutic Massage, and
Oh,
I had it for a year, and I had a blast with it. But my daughter and my son are both dyslexic, and so we weren't getting a lot of cooperation from the schools in
oof.
Weston at the
Mhm.
time. So I pulled them out. We went home and homeschooled for about 4 years. And so I got out of my massage therapy from that. But through massage therapy school, I had been introduced to Reiki, and I loved it. And I went on to get my what I call charges, my other charges, and became a master Reiki practitioner. And I did that actually at Fair Trade on State Street before she closed down. She was in the little house on State Street before she closed. And that was probably some of the best times in my adult life was doing Reiki. I had a connection to source during that time that I don't think I've had since, honestly. Because since she closed, I haven't been able to practice. It's coming back though.
Mhm.
I found y'all, Metaphysical
Yeah.
Mississippi, and have attended a Reiki share and loved it.
Oh, that's right.
And
You used to mention it.
absolutely loved it. Yeah. So you'll see me around quite a bit, I think,
Yeah.
from here on out, because it's been nice to be able to delve back into that again.
Mhm.
It's it means a lot to me. Reiki does, and it's nice to be able to put that into practice again. I've missed it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you well, I've already I don't really have much experience with Reiki, and it's Krista
Hmm.
who knows it, and we
Yeah.
just did a talk on it, which it won't air for a couple of weeks. This will come out before that one, but
Okay.
just about how I don't know anything about Reiki. but
Well, we're
but
gonna have to
yeah,
educate you.
but they did get into, yeah, they were talking about it. Is the source, and I've asked this uh, in the Reiki,
Yeah,
is source the same source, that is it the same energy you're tapping into for Reiki, or is it a different energy? Is
I
it
think it's
easy,
this.
or go on?
Are there? I think it's the same.
It's the same
I
source,
think it's the same. I think if you call it, I don't care what you call it, God, Gaia, Source, um,
the creator.
Creator, whatever you want to call it. I think it's all the same thing because we're an extension of it. That I do believe. Where we were made in His image, we're made
Mhm.
in her image too. I mean, we're just it's the same. What it is, hell, I can't tell you exactly what it is.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know, and if anybody says they can, they're lying to you because they don't know. We won't know till we leave this plane. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yes.
But I believe that energy all comes from the same place. All comes from that
Yeah.
same source, and that's why I call it a source.
Right.
When I do Reiki, as a Reiki practitioner, when I'm performing Reiki, giving Reiki on someone, I'm a channel for that energy. So I'm getting a treatment just like you are.
Yeah.
That energy flows through me and treats me just as it treats you.
Yeah.
So it's really amazing to me, the feeling that I get when I am able to perform that on someone, because you have to give your permission for me to be able to do it. I mean, it's
Right.
consent. And, if you have questions, you ask. It's just like massage therapy. I can't do anything to you that you don't allow me to,
Right. Right.
you know?
S-
Um, and
So
it's
when,
the same way with energy work.
yeah. So when you're so energy work can be Reiki, but energy can also be labeled. What other types of energy work is there?
You
That
ever heard laying on of hands?
yes.
Same thing.
Okay, that's okay. Gotcha.
It's the same thing. The only difference is the where in laying on of hands, you put your hands on someone and the energy just goes where it needs to go. It's exactly the same thing. Because when I do Reiki, I may try to concentrate on specific areas, because we work on the energy centers of the body, which are called chakras. Okay.
Yeah.
You have the high chakra, you have the third eye, you have the throat chakra, you have the heart chakra, solar plexus, and the root chakra. Okay. So you have all of those. And sometimes when I'm performing Reiki on someone, I can see those colors. I can see in my mind's eye, I can see those colors. I can see if they're bright. I can see if they're
Yeah.
dim. And if they're dim, I know that we possibly have a blockage here. But I can actually take a single finger in Reiki, do it right here, and it's going to go exactly where it needs to go. I have no control over where that energy goes. All I am is a conduit for it. I have to ground myself really, really well. And then I allow that to come through. And I
Yeah.
will call in guardian angels. I will call in ancestral guardians that belong to you, and that belong to me, to help me facilitate that energy where it needs to go. There's nothing dangerous about it. I've heard people say, "Oh, the demons are going to take over when you have Reiki." Horseshit. There's no way.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
grew up in church.
Yeah.
I didn't go all the time, but we did go a good bit. I had more church as an adult, and I was there every Sunday and every Wednesday. I
But
did it for many years.
yeah.
And the laying on of hands that I saw in church, where you fall out on your back and they cover you with a blanket, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, that's Reiki.
Well, let's just say in some of your pagan practices that you do,
Hmm. Yeah.
um, and you're tapping into source, and you're doing something different. You're doing some kind of ritual, or maybe you're trying to manifest something.
Hmm.
Um, in that, does you use the symbols in Reiki, which I don't know the symbols, but I've heard there's symbols.
Right, there
You're,
are.
you're doing in other rituals, are you calling in source to do certain things by using a different uh recipe?
Are you talking about like in rituals with the circle,
Yeah, or
as opposed?
any kind of manifestation of what you're trying to manifest. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, I mean, let's just say you want to do a. Well, I am curious. I know Reiki is used for healing, or doing like Kelly's candles. I'm always burning twin made magic
I love her stuff.
candles. Um, let's just say you are doing a ritual thing of.
Hmm.
I really don't know what you do ritual for,
Are
other
you
than
asking me, is it the same energy
yeah,
that we're working
or
with?
yeah, or you have maybe I don't know what I'm asking.
I think it is. I think it's all the same energy.
um okay, so you know how to function in the Reiki world, and then
Hmm.
you're functioning in in with Mother Nature, and I know that you probably it makes a lot of sense when it comes to harvest time and planting that you're going to
Sure.
do certain things
Yeah.
to, and it's also just makes common sense that you're going to till the ground, or you're going to, allow it to rest certain times, or you may make some kind of offering of some sort. I know a lot of people burn tobacco for things, and I really don't know all that kind of stuff, but
Yeah.
uh
Some people do.
yeah. uh
I burn sage in my house to help dispel negative energy. I burn incense in my house to do the same thing.
yeah.
Um, I
Okay. So you don't so they don't believe in Satan, but they do believe in negative and positive.
oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
They
right.
don't believe in the devil and the pitchfork.
Okay.
Um, but certainly there are dark entities, there are dark spirits, but I don't specifically work with
Right.
those
So the dark and the light is
because you can't have light without dark and vice versa.
right. Right.
Right.
Of course, I want to just not have the dark.
I know, me too.
I just want to be light all the time.
Yeah, I understand that too.
You mentioned that picture. You have a picture behind you.
Right.
And tell me just a little bit about the history of that picture, if you don't mind.
That picture belonged to my grandmother. Actually, it was bought by her mother, so it belonged to my great grandmother. And it's a print. We're thinking probably late 1800s, early 1900s, and it's got the water glass in it. Because glass has never been smooth and clear until the till they start in the machine age, right? So, but it is an antique near and dear to my heart, and it's of the moon shining down, and you can't tell because of reflection. It's a moon shining down on a creek that's running through the woods, and it's always been very peaceful to me. It hung over my grandmother's piano for my whole life, and when she passed, that was the one thing that I asked for, that I wanted to hang on to. And it's old enough that the picture is actually starting to disintegrate. The paper is starting to disintegrate in corners, but I've sealed it up as best I can on the back. But it's just a very peaceful and serene image for me. The moon always has been. I'm a Cancer anyway,
Yeah.
so I'm ruled by the moon, and by water. Um, it just means a lot to me.
Do you prefer doing ritual your ritual at night or day, or just
I prefer it at night, simply because that's the quiet time.
yeah.
Everything outside is quiet. You don't even have very many insects. Well, in the summer you do, and if it's going to rain, you have frogs. But typically it's quiet at night. You don't have so much mechanical, no cars, no motorcycles, things like this. Just more peaceful at night. I mean, step outside your door at midnight and tell me what you hear.
Oh
Even in the city, you're still going to hear cars and things like that, but it's just down to a very dull roar.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just more peaceful. I can think better at night and focus my energy better at night. This is just my personal speaking though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm that way too.
And I'm a moon watcher anyway. I'm like, ooh, look at the moon. I'm that chick.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I love the moons. They're all over. They're behind you.
I actually painted this one.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I actually painted
Oh,
that
well,
one.
and your name, Luna.
Yeah. Naturally.
Duh.
Duh. And I've always had a fascination with the moon because I'm Cancer. And when my mom and my mom's and my cycles would sync up, because we lived in the same house,
Mhm.
and she'd be rah rah and I'd be rah rah right back, and she'd be going, "Oh, it got to be a full moon," and she'd check, and it would be, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I've always had a fascination with the moon.
Well, thank you, and have a great evening. And I hope everything goes great with the seed.
I think it's going to be fun.
All right.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Okay.
All
Bye.
right, girl.
The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent.